Something was guarding the entrance to Eden. Not a wall, not an army, cherubim, and a sword of fire. But why? What was inside Eden that had to be protected so fiercely? And why, after Adam and Eve were forced out, did the same strange symbols begin appearing in other parts of the Bible? The guarded entrance, the flowing river, the tree of life, the cherubim. They appear again and again, in places separated by hundreds of years. Is that only a coincidence? Or has the story of Eden been hiding a much larger mystery? Even Adam's role may not be as simple as it first appears. Genesis says he was placed there to work and keep the garden. But those words carry a deeper meaning in Hebrew. So what was Adam really assigned to do? What did the serpent's arrival reveal about that assignment? And why does the final chapter of the Bible return to the same river, the same tree, and the same lost place? To understand what Eden truly was, every clue has to be followed. The first one is hidden in its geography. Genesis 2 says God planted a garden in Eden. That wording matters. The garden is located inside Eden, which suggests Eden may have been a larger region. Then a river flows out of Eden, waters the garden, and divides into 4 branches. But rivers flow downhill. Does this mean Eden was on higher ground? The Bible seems to connect Eden with a holy mountain. Ezekiel calls it the Garden of God, and also speaks of the holy mountain of God. In the ancient Near East, mountains were often seen as places where the divine world met the human world. People pictured life-giving water flowing from these sacred mountains into the lands below. Mesopotamian ziggurats were built like man-made mountains. Greek tradition placed the gods on Mount Olympus. Canaanite texts connected Baal with Mount Zaphon. The Bible uses similar images, but points them toward the God of Israel. God meets Moses on Mount Sinai. The temple is built on Mount Zion. Again and again, mountains, holy boundaries, and God's presence appear together. Could Eden have been the Bible's first holy mountain, the place where God's world overlapped with ours? If so, the river was not simply part of the scenery. It represented life flowing out from God's presence and into creation. But the geography is only the first clue. The next one is hidden in Adam's job. Genesis 2:15 says God placed Adam in the garden to work it and take care of it. That sounds like normal gardening, but the Hebrew words are avad and shamar. They can also mean to serve and to guard. Where do those words appear together again? They are used in passages describing the Levites' work around the tabernacle. The Levites served in the sanctuary and guarded its holy space. Adam may have cared for the land, but was that his only responsibility? Perhaps he was also serving inside God's earthly dwelling place. Perhaps he was guarding holy ground, but guarding it from what? Genesis does not give an immediate answer. Then the serpent appears. A hostile spiritual being enters the garden, questions God's command, and tempts the humans to take what was forbidden. The guardian fails to stop it. After Adam and Eve rebel, they hear God walking in the garden. God is not described as watching from far away. He is present in Eden. Adam and Eve hide. Then they are forced out. Genesis says God places cherubim at the eastern entrance, along with a flaming sword, to guard the way to the tree of life. But why cherubim? Popular art often shows cherubim as harmless babies with wings. The Bible describes something far more powerful. Cherubim are heavenly beings closely connected with God's throne and presence. Images of them later appear over the Ark of the Covenant. They are woven into the curtain in front of the most holy place. They also cover the walls of Solomon's temple, where God's throne is represented. Cherubim are often nearby. So what are they guarding at Eden's entrance? A normal garden or a sanctuary? Now the clues begin to fit together. Eden is raised like a holy mountain. Life-giving water flows from it. God dwells there. Adam serves and guards it. Cherubim protect the entrance. Eden is a garden, but it is also described like a temple. This changes the meaning of Adam's role. He was not only caring for plants, he was serving as a priestly guardian inside sacred space. and when the serpent entered, Adam failed to protect that space. But the pattern does not end when humanity leaves Eden. It begins appearing again. At Mount Sinai, God's presence descends upon the mountain. Boundaries are placed around it. The people cannot simply walk to the top. Only those chosen by God may approach. Does that sound familiar? A holy place, a guarded boundary, God's presence on a mountain. Then God commands Moses to build a sanctuary. Have them make a sanctuary for me, God says, and I will dwell among them. Humanity cannot return to Eden, so God creates a way to live among humanity again. The tabernacle looks like a portable Eden. Its entrance faces east, just as Eden's guarded entrance was in the east. Cherubim are sewn into its curtains. More cherubim stand over the ark inside the most holy place. A golden lampstand called the menorah also stands inside the sanctuary. It has branches, buds, flowers, and blossoms. Why would a lamp be shaped like a tree? Could it represent the tree of life? The tabernacle is filled with reminders of Eden, but it is also filled with barriers. Curtains, sacrifices, priests, and cleansing rituals control who may approach God. God is living among his people again, but the way into his presence is not fully open. Solomon's temple makes the connection even clearer. 1 Kings describes cherubim, palm trees, and flowers carved across its walls. The inside of the temple looks like a garden, but at its center is a guarded room called the Most Holy Place. Only the high priest may enter, and only at the proper time. Eden has been recreated through symbols, but Eden has not yet been restored. Then the prophet Ezekiel sees something strange. Water flows from a future temple. The small stream becomes a river, bringing life everywhere it goes. Trees grow along its banks, and their leaves bring healing. Where have these images appeared before? A holy dwelling place, a river flowing outward, trees giving life. The imagery of Eden is returning, and it appears one final time in Revelation. A river of life flows from God's throne. The tree of life stands beside it. Its leaves bring healing to the nations. But something important has changed. No cherubim block the entrance. There is no flaming sword. The curse is gone, and humanity can see God's face. The Bible ends where it began, but now the gates are open. What does this tell us about the fall? Genesis says humanity was made in God's image. In the ancient world, kings placed statues of themselves throughout their kingdoms. These images represented the king's authority. In a greater way, human beings were created to represent God's rule on earth. Adam and Eve were meant to care for holy space and spread God's order throughout creation. Then the serpent offered them a shortcut. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil may represent the authority to judge good and evil. Was the temptation really about gaining information, or was it about taking God's authority and deciding right and wrong without him? The serpent promised that Adam and Eve would not die, but after they ate, they were driven away from the tree of life. Adam failed to guard the sanctuary. Humanity rebelled against God. The entrance to Eden was closed. The deepest tragedy of the fall was not only guilt, it was separation. Humanity was cut off from the place where heaven and earth met. From that moment, the Bible becomes a story about the journey back into God's presence. First comes the tabernacle, where God lives among a wandering people. Then comes the temple, where God's presence rests in Jerusalem. But the barriers remain. Then Jesus appears. John says the Word became flesh and dwelt among humanity. The original Greek word carries the idea of setting up a tent, of tabernacling among the people. God's presence is no longer connected only to a building, it is revealed in a person. Jesus later describes his own body as the temple. He enters the wilderness and faces the tempter. Adam failed in a garden, but Jesus remains faithful in a wasteland. Then something shocking happens when Jesus dies. The temple curtain tears from top to bottom. This was the curtain guarding the most holy place, the curtain decorated with cherubim. For generations, it had stood as a symbol of the barrier between humanity and God. Now it is torn open, Was this the moment the way back to Eden was finally unlocked? Paul later tells believers, "You are God's temple. Holy space is no longer limited to a mountain, a tent, or a stone building. God now dwells within his people." But the story is still not over. Revelation describes a new heaven and a new earth. God lives openly with humanity, yet the New Jerusalem has no temple building. Why not? Because God and the Lamb are its temple. The entire city has become holy ground. The river of life flows freely. The tree of life is open to humanity. The curse is gone, and nothing guards the entrance. Eden has not simply been recovered, it has grown until it fills all creation. That is the mystery hidden in the opening chapters of Genesis. Eden was more than a beautiful garden. It was a meeting place between heaven and earth. Adam was more than a farmer. He served as a priestly guardian of holy ground. The fall was more than breaking a rule. It was exile from God's presence, and the rest of the Bible follows a single path: Eden, the tabernacle, the temple, Jesus, the new creation. The story begins with humanity outside a guarded entrance, unable to reach the tree of life. But it ends with that entrance open, all thanks to Jesus.